Well, hey there, my friend. I hope that you're doing well today. I hope you're having a good IBD day. And if not, then I have to say I'm glad that we're hanging out together in this moment to give us both a little bit of community, a little bit of support. I have a question for you. Did you check out last week's episode 102 yet? That was seriously mind-blowing information, right? That conversation, for me at least, it was so unique and so refreshing. I want you to do yourself a favor. Go over and check out that convo with Dr. Ilana Gurovich if you haven't already, because it's going to make you look through the lens of IBD from a different perspective. It's really good stuff. Now, today's episode, it's all about gut healing yogurt, or is it gut healing? See, the truth is it kind of depends. We're going to get into the heart of that today, but I can pretty much guarantee you're not getting much out of the yogurt your doctor is recommending. In fact, it may be making your Crohn's or your colitis worse. So it's episode 103 of the Cheeky Podcast, and we're separating yogurt facts from yogurt fiction. Now, I have to say, I love a good story. So let me start this episode by telling you a little story, and let's see if you can relate. So you're sitting in the doctor's office, you're sitting in your GI's office like we all do, you're chatting about your IBD treatment plan, and if your provider is even semi-knowledgeable about the link between Crohn's, colitis, and nutrition, or they know anything about the microbiome, and I have to say, that conversation is happening more and more these days, and I'm so grateful for that. If you're sitting there in that doctor's office, chances are that they've thrown the yogurt recommendation your way. Now, what's the yogurt recommendation sound like? It sounds like this. Yogurt is a great way, this is your doctor talking, yogurt is a great way to get your probiotics in. You don't need fancy probiotic pills. Just head to the grocery store and buy some yogurt. Does that sound familiar? I have heard that very thing from my doctor too, but here's the problem. Here's the problem with that statement. Even though digestive docs are starting to come around about diet and nutrition playing some role in our gut health, I mean, we've known that forever, so duh for us, but they are just coming around. So instead of giving you accurate and probiotic guidance based on science or education, or referring you to a nutrition professional who studies nothing but the microbiome and its role in IBD and nutrition, what they do is they give you the layperson, the non-IBD version of what gut health should look like. Because to them, all yogurt is good for the gut. But as we know, our gut health, it's not the same as the general population. When it comes to eating for IBD, why doesn't our doctor know this? Why don't they know this? It's simply because here's the thing. On paper, the yogurt you buy at the grocery store, it makes sense. It makes sense on paper. It makes logical sense. Yogurt's got probiotics, those friendly bacteria that balance out your gut flora to help ease your IBD symptoms. Plus, if they've done any little research, any extra nutritional research than most, then they're also probably aware of this whole fermentation process that's going on with yogurt. Yogurt breaks down some of the lactose in the milk. It makes it easier to digest for a sensitive IBD belly. And then let's not forget about the nutrients that are packed into every spoonful of yogurt. We've got calcium, B12, we've got protein, quality fats, you name it. To the semi-trained eye, whose focus is more on medication and procedures, and not the latest nutrition science, store-bought yogurt is a one-stop shop for gut health. So I get it. I totally get it. I get why our GI docs see grocery store yogurt as gut healing and gut healthy. But here's the thing. When you're dealing with a major gut struggle, like the monster that is IBD, and we all know that IBD is a monster of an illness with symptoms that not only disrupt your life, but your family life, your work life, your relationships. Nothing's ever straightforward with IBD. Nothing is as straightforward as it seems. And that's why I want to educate about this important topic today. It's what I call the yogurt dilemma, where grocery store yogurt falls short. And let's talk about what you should do instead if you want to make life transforming strides for your GI tract and your overall health. Let's start with where grocery store yogurt falls short, because for all of its fermented potential, the benefits, they just don't outweigh the downsides. Okay, so first of all, commercial yogurt, the kind that we buy at the grocery store, it's filled with sugar bombs, preservatives, artificial stuff, and gut disrupting gums. And these ingredients in commercial yogurts, they can disrupt the balance of the gut microbiota, promoting growth of unhealthy bacteria and increasing the inflammation response, basically increasing the problems that you're trying to get rid of instead of decreasing them. Yeah, so these gut disruptors, they're wreaking havoc on our inflammation levels. And in many cases, they're creating more harm than good for those trillions of critters that take up residence in our digestive system. And I know that when I say that, it's not a pleasant thing to think about, all those gut bugs roaming around in there. But trust me, when you make friends with those critters, it's a good thing, because when the system works right, it's actually a beautiful symbiotic relationship that we have with them. But let's just say, just for argument's sake, let's just say that you don't buy the flavored yogurt with all that crap in it I was just talking about. Let's say that you're aware that some yogurts contain more gut disrupting sugar than a can of Coke. And that's actually true. They can. So instead, you go with the natural yogurt. Well, unfortunately, there can be challenges there as well, because there's two constituents in yogurt that tend to cause issues for us IBDers: lactose and casein. Now let's start with lactose. The milk sugar, and pretty much a substance that has the potential to be quite an issue for those of us with sensitive bellies. It is reduced. I have to say that it is reduced in commercial yogurt. So in all fairness to the product, yes, it is reduced, but only an 8-hour fermentation time occurs. That's the standard fermentation rate for grocery store yogurt. And this doesn't remove enough of the lactose for us to reap the bacterial rewards. So for most of us with IBD, the amount of lactose in these commercial yogurts, it's still causing so many symptoms: bloating, gas, abdominal pain, disruptive bowel movements, whether they take the form of diarrhea or constipation, or sometimes a mix of both. And sometimes the challenges lend themselves to even non-GI issues. Tell me if any of these sound familiar to you: achy joints, headaches, brain fog, irritability, lethargy. Definitely not the best option to help manage our IBD challenges. Just a quick interruption. We will get back to the podcast in a second. I'm wondering, are you like many of us with Crohn's and colitis? You're turning to food to help heal your gut, but you're just feeling really overwhelmed by the myriad of gut healing diets out there. There's gluten-free and dairy-free and paleo gaps, and it can be really confusing and frustrating and leave you feeling disheartened about which diet is the right one for you. And I've been there myself. That's why I created the Ultimate IBD Diet Decoder Quiz, to help you find your best diet for your unique needs. Now, maybe you've tried one of these diets, but you gave up quickly because they were just too strict or they didn't fit with your lifestyle. Here's the truth: there is no one-size-fits-all diet. But there is one best diet for you. And the best diet for you isn't just about your symptoms. It's about your lifestyle and your personality too. Are you ready to find the gut healing diet that fits you like a glove? Head on over to KarynHaley.com/quiz to take my Ultimate IBD Diet Decoder Quiz. It's free and it only takes 3 minutes. Discover what you've been meant to be eating to put your IBD in its place. That's KarynHaley.com/quiz. And now back to the show. So we know that the leftover lactose in commercial yogurt, we know that that can be problematic. But what about the casein, the protein found in dairy? Well, casein, that one's a bit trickier because no amount of fermentation is going to remove the casein. So if you find yourself sensitive to casein, dairy yogurt is never going to be your friend, no matter what type you buy, no matter where you buy it. Okay, Karyn, so grocery store dairy yogurt is out. We've determined that. How about non-dairy grocery store yogurt? Now, there's loads of options out there with no lactose and no casein to worry about. But unfortunately, we run into similar issues even with non-dairy commercial yogurt. Added sugar, artificial ingredients like carrageenan, there's gums, artificial sweeteners, and even with the plain organic non-dairy options, we still run into challenges like lower probiotic counts due to the lower fermentation times of these yogurts. Commercial yogurt, whether it's dairy or non-dairy, it's just not equipped to provide the benefit that an IBD gal in the midst of anywhere from a mild to a massive flare-up needs. Nope, we need a more tailored, individualized approach that takes into account the state of our gut in that moment. And since I know that you know that we're supposed to think of our GI doctor as our consultant, not the guru, not the end-all decision maker, not the guru, it's time that we rethink our doctor's orders regarding yogurt. Now, while many GI doctors may be misguided in the type of fermented food they recommend, the commercial yogurt that I've been talking about here, I have to be honest and say they are spot on about one thing. Here's what they're right about. Certain fermented foods can play a significant role in gut repair for bacterial balance, for immune function, as well as inflammation regulation. And when we take the time to hone in on the right type of fermented food for our specific body needs, for where we're currently at on our gut healing journey, we can harness the power of fermentation. Because fermentation, when foods are fermented and when it's done right, they have the power to increase microbial activity in the gut. How cool is that? Now, during what I call a proper fermentation, that beneficial bacteria, usually in the form of lactobacilli or bifidobacteria or yeast, all of those families, they consume sugars and starches in the food. And that in turn produces lactic acid, alcohol, or acetic acid. And then not only does it lower the pH of the food, but it also prevents harmful bacteria from growing. And that's what a proper fermentation has time and the power to do in our gut. So the right type of fermented food, it will also help us, what's the word I'm looking for? Proliferate? That's the word. Proliferate these beneficial bacteria. It will increase the probiotic content of that food. And then when we consume it, it adds to the diversity and the health of our gut microbiome. Now, the right type of fermented food, it also helps produce beneficial compounds like those SCFAs, the short chain fatty acids, also peptides and vitamins that can nourish the gut cells, like at the cellular level, can help reduce inflammation, and then of course can help support overall gut health. I keep using that word right, but that's what I'm talking about here. The right fermented foods, they reduce anti-nutrients. How cool is that? Longer fermentation processes have the power to thoroughly reduce anti-nutrients, and anti-nutrients, things like phytates. And those are the things that bind minerals and prevent their absorption, those phytates. But this process of a longer fermentation time. It enhances the nutritional profile of the food, and it makes it so much easier for us to get those nutrients in the food that we need. A good fermentation process also enhances the digestibility of that particular food. Longer fermentation times, they aid in the breaking down of those complex food components, like that lactose that we were talking about earlier. It helps break it down. And this is a much needed benefit for those of us with compromised gut function and lactose challenges. In fact, as IBDers, we need a longer fermentation time than what the commercial yogurt allows. And it just shows us how different our digestive process is from that of what I would call, quote unquote, the normal population. And neither commercial yogurt, that whole industry, or our GI doctors, neither of them are typically taking any of this into consideration. Okay, so I just want to recap, because that was a lot of information I just gave there, but I want to just do a really quick recap of the benefits when we consume that word right, when we consume the right type of fermented foods with a tailor made to your needs fermentation approach. Okay, so we've got a healthier microbiome, improved symptom pathology. So we're talking about less bloating, less gas, less irregular bowel movements, less abdominal pain, not to mention less of those extra intestinal symptoms like brain fog and joint pain and skin conditions like rashes or eczema. And it also benefits our gut barrier due to those short chain fatty acids I mentioned, which reduce the risk of pathogens that enter our bloodstream. Leaky gut, anybody, right? This reduces that, which is, of course, going into that bloodstream is the driver behind not going into our bloodstream is the driver behind lowering that inflammation. The right type of fermented foods, it also plays a huge role in modulating our immune system at the microbiome level. And then lastly, don't forget about the power of the right type of fermented foods in aiding us in our nutrient absorption. It's so important. It's not just about eating the nutrients. We got to be able to absorb them. And this is a big one for IBDers, especially when nutrients are more bioavailable. It's easier for us to digest and absorb the essential vitamins and minerals that we need to decrease our intestinal and overall body inflammation. So, can I get an amen? Can I get an amen for the right type of fermentation? Fermentation tailored to the needs of someone with gut challenges. Not commercial yogurt fermentation, which is tailored to the needs of a mostly healthy individual with a semi-healthy digestive system. So right about now, your mind might be just kind of skipping ahead and you're thinking about what are these right fermented foods that you might want to look for? And we all want the health benefits that I just described, don't we? But I'm going to stop you for just a second before your mind moves ahead, because I want to say that I urge you to proceed with caution here, because I've seen one too many IBD clients venture down the fermented road too soon, too fast, only to end up with worse problems than they started with. Does that sound familiar to you? So before you get started with, heading down that road of kimchi and sauerkraut and lacto-fermented veggies and miso, I would just have you ask yourself one question, just one question. Where is my IBD at? In this moment, where is my IBD at? And if your answer is remission, healed, healthy, scans don't show anything, no sign of disease, calprotectin is low, then I say more power to you and go for it with your bad IBD mama self. Go for it. But if you're listening to this podcast, and I'd venture to say, if you are, you probably aren't in that place. Otherwise, why would you be here? If you're still looking for the answers, you're in a flare-up, your levels aren't where you want them to be, and you're wondering, what's the best fermented food for me? It's not kimchi. It's not that kimchi that everyone with a normal digestive tract raves about. And so then the question is, what should I eat? What should I eat? And for you, dear one, for the gal still in gut healing mode, my answer to you is that we must meet our belly where it's at. If our ultimate goal is to eventually heal and seal our gut, so that when we're in that place, we can enjoy healthy fermented foods like sauerkraut and the kimchi and the lacto fermented veggies, because they rock to keep your IBD in remission, right? They're perfect for when you're in remission. But if we're not there yet and we want to get there, we must start with a fermented food that's gentle and healing on our belly. Does that make sense? We must start with one that has the potential to aid in gut repair, restoration, as well as rejuvenation. And for this fermented food, I gotta bring this conversation back to where we all started with that word, yogurt. The yogurt your doctor had the forethought and the insight to recommend. But, and this is a big but with a much healthier and healing twist. This yogurt that I'm talking about is different from that 8-hour fermented grocery store yogurt that does more harm than good. Because when it comes to the absolute best fermented food for an unhappy IBD belly, you cannot beat 24-hour homemade fermented yogurt. Dairy or non-dairy, depending on your food sensitivities and your personal taste preferences. Transitioning to a homemade 24-hour fermented yogurt, instead of flocking to the grocery store on your doctor's recommendation, it can be a game changer. And I don't say that lightly, but it can be a game changer, especially for those navigating the complex nature of IBD. Now, I know you might be hearing that word 24 hours and you're like, did she actually say 24 hours? It takes me 24 hours to make this yogurt. I don't have 24 hours to make anything. But I assure you that if you have 15 minutes, because 23.75 of those hours, you're doing nothing. If you've got 15 minutes, you've got time to make 24-hour fermented yogurt. And I'm going to share with you my easy peasy recipe. I'm going to share that with you, both my easy peasy gut healing dairy recipe and my non-dairy recipe for homemade fermented 24-hour fermented yogurt. I'm going to share that with you in just a moment. But before we get to that, let's start with why. Why this yogurt, this variation on this yogurt, why is it a standout? And why is it a cut above all the rest of the other fermented foods that you could start with when you're trying to repair your gut? 24-hour fermented yogurt is the ultimate gut repair solution because there's several things I want to tell you here. Okay, so the first thing is, number one, it's gentle on the gut. It's a game changer. I said it before, I'm saying it again, it's huge. It's gentle on your gut. It's all the probiotic and bacterial balancing goodness that you're going to get in the grocery store without the harshness of other type of gut healing ferments that you might buy commercially. The longer fermentation process of a 24-hour homemade yogurt, it works like magic because it has the time to break down the lactose into lactic acid. And that means less stress on your sensitive digestive system and more healing, soothing love for your belly that's most likely on fire. It's like giving your whole digestive system a big, comforting hug during a nasty flare up. And in fact, I have to say that clients will tell me that exact statement. They say it so often. They'll say things like, that homemade yogurt, it's so soothing and comforting. It's like I just gave my belly a hug, right? Every time I eat it, it's like giving my belly a hug. Okay, so reason number 2 why homemade 24-hour fermented yogurt is your ultimate gut repair solution is that it's got high-powered probiotics. Say hello to your new gut BFF. Thanks to that extended fermentation time, that 24-hour fermentation time with the yogurt, it's belly soothing, and this concoction is bursting at the seams with beneficial bacteria. all that extra time created more beneficial bacteria. So these adorable little critters, as I like to think of them, they're basically like superheroes of your microbiome, the swooping in to save the day by calming inflammation and restoring balance down below. Okay, I got another reason why I love it. Reason number three about why this type of yogurt is your ultimate gut repair fermentation choice is that it's what I like to call lactose light. It's lactose light. Plus, it helps us if we have issues with FODMAPs, it helps you get rid of that challenge as well because it's all low FODMAPs. And this yogurt is virtually lactose free. So that's why I say lactose light. It's a virtually lactose free. So you can bid adieu to all of that discomfort that often comes with store-bought dairy yogurts. No more belly rumbles or cramps, just smooth sailing all the way. And then I have one last thing I want to share with you about the why. So reason number 4, now the last reason why 24-hour yogurt is your ultimate fermentation food starting place is that it's amazingly versatile. Whether you're eating it straight, serving it with a fruit compote, or drizzling it with a dash of honey or maple syrup, or maybe you're even going to blend it into a refreshing gut healing smoothie, 24-hour fermented yogurt, it plays really nice with all sorts of concoctions you can come up with. Plus, it plays nice with any kind of dietary preference or restriction you might have. So it's really just a no-brainer for your daily routine. Hey there, it's Karyn popping into the episode. I want to thank you so much for tuning into the Cheeky podcast for moms with IBD today. You know, the great information that we're dishing out on this pod is exactly the same type of conversations I get to have with my clients every day. And if you're ready to take your IBD healing journey to the next level and move into being the mom you always dreamed you'd be, then hop on over to KarynHaley.com/consult and book your free IBD consultation with me today. Remember, my mom had to be a little bit different and spell my name with a Y. So that's KarynHaley.com/consult. Now, on our call, we will dive into what you're struggling with most right now and make a plan for how we can work together to help you achieve your big, bold, beautiful, life-transforming goals. No more sitting on the sidelines, waiting for that miracle cure to magically happen. You've got what it takes to do this, mama. You just need a little nudge in the right direction. And I've got your back. KarynHaley.com/consult. And now back to the show. Now, of course, I have to say that since this is the Cheeky podcast for moms with IBD, I would be remiss if I didn't take you through how to do 24-hour fermented yogurt like the badass mama that you are. Because by now, I'm sure that you are sold on the benefits. You've been listening and you're like, yeah, that actually sounds good. I want to try that. But how do I make it work in my mom life? How do I make it work? Because as moms, we have to be able to seamlessly integrate the magic of this gut-loving superfood into our bustling mom life. And as moms with IBD, we are no strangers to multitasking and juggling and finding creative solutions to life's challenges, are we not? And so I have to say that homemade yogurt, making it yourself, it's no exception. And I get why it might seem a little bit daunting at first, because I know it's been a while for me, but I know way back when I first was making it, it was daunting for me. I'm going to say way back probably sometime in 2008, I remember trying to make this yogurt at home for the first time. And I sent my whole family out of the house because I just needed to be able to concentrate, and I needed to concentrate without distractions. But even after I made this yogurt once, that homemade 24-hour fermented yogurt, even when I made it one time, I remember saying, wow, it's that easy? Why haven't I been doing this all my life? So I have to just say, fear not, because making 24-hour fermented yogurt, even though 24 hours seems like a long time, it's not as daunting as it sounds. I promise you, we're going to tackle this with all the grace and the resilience and the savviness of moms who've conquered the trenches of motherhood, and you did it all while managing IBD at the same time. If you can do that, you can do this. And you know what? You might even want to include the kids in this, because kids tend to love this yogurt as well. But I have to say, I also understand if you just want to keep it for yourself, because I can relate. I've hit it a time or two myself. So no judgment on that. So, okay, here's a few do it like a mom tips from me to you when you're starting to think about making this 24-hour yogurt. How do you do it like a mom? Okay, so tip number 1, at first, go slow. Go slow. This tip is so important. Adding in that gut healing probiotic, that bacteria of a 24-hour fermented yogurt, it is a really good thing. It's really wonderful for your IBD, but it tends to set up an environment that will crowd out the bad guys at the same time, the bad critters, the ones we want to get rid of. So to minimize the challenges that this chain reaction can create, we always start slow with yogurt. Start out with just a spoonful a day. Some IBD gals actually will even need to start with less than that, and that's perfectly fine. What I say here is, as long as you're moving forward, even if it's at a snail's pace or a tortoise pace, you are where you're supposed to be. So go slow. Okay, let me give you another tip. Tip number 2, wait until the time is right. Another really big tip, along with going slow, waiting until the time is right is also a baller. I just got to say it, a baller IBD mom move. Some of my clients are ready for 24-hour fermented yogurt from day 1. I got to say it. Some are just like, they can do it. They can tolerate it. It works well for them. While others need a little bit of space time before introducing fermented foods, any fermented foods. For some, even that gentle 24-hour soothing fermented yogurt, it's a struggle. In the beginning stages of gut healing, it can be a struggle. And if you've ever tried homemade yogurt before and you felt awful after, it doesn't mean it wasn't for you. I gotta say this again, because it stops people in their tracks, but actually it doesn't mean it wasn't for you. It just means that a little more gut healing needs to take place before you fully commit to that process. And that's okay, because we all start where we're at. You'll get to it eventually. So just set it aside and know that you will get back to it eventually. Okay, for moms, tip number 3, and that is to set a yogurt making schedule. Once you've made your first batch and you know things are going well, you know it went down well, you're taking it slow, you're going to want to establish a regular time each week, or even every other week, depending on how much yogurt you're eating. Because when you make your yogurt, because this is going to ensure that it becomes a consistent part of your routine and that it never leaves you without any of this gut healing elixir. So have a schedule. Okay, tip number 4, how you do yogurt like a mom. Involve the kids, of course, involve the kids. If you want to share this process with them, it's actually a beautiful thing. It's a fun activity for the whole family. It teaches the kids about not just healthy eating, but fermentation, which is a really cool, pretty much a science lesson for the kids. So I love that part of it. And you're also spending quality time together with your family. So involve the kids. All right, next, tip number 5, keep it simple, keep it sweet. I always like slow, simple, right? I'm never doing anything too complicated. We're just doing one baby step at a time. So when you're making yogurt, that means start with the basic ingredients and recipes like the one that I'm going to share with you today. Embrace the learning curve, because there's a little bit of a learning curve if you've never made it before. But trust in the practice, the yogurt making practice. Trust that it's going to become second nature, because eventually it will. Okay, tip number 6, homemade yogurt is about the journey. Now, I really, really, really relate to this one. It's not about the finished product. It's about the journey. Not every batch is going to turn out perfect, and that's okay. you might forget to turn off the yogurt maker. And when I had a yogurt maker that wasn't an automatic shutoff, I have done that. Raise my hand. Yep, that's me. I've done there. I've been there. I've done that. Or you might just get distracted with your milk and it might boil over on the stove. And oh yeah, I'm raising my hand over here. I've been there too. But I have to say, each batch that you make, it's a step towards healing and understanding what works best for your taste buds and your health needs. These little imperfections, they're part of the journey. So embrace it, embrace that journey toward better gut health. I have one last tip for you, mama. How can you do yogurt like a mom? Tip number 7, it's lean on your community. Remember that you are not alone on this journey. You don't have to do this alone. Share tips, successes, and even the not so successful attempts with your fellow community badass IBD mom warrior friends. I have to say, personally, I love hearing yogurt stories, the good and the bad. So feel free to hit me up. I just heard one from a client just this week where she curdled it. And I thought, how did you do that? I think maybe she left it on the burner too long because the milk will curdle if you do that. But I hear stories like this all the time. So I am up for one of those stories. Funny, not funny yogurt stories. Feel free to share them with me. Sometimes knowing that there's someone else out there who gets it, it just makes all the difference in the world. So with those nuggets, those tips for you, the 1 through 7, the do yogurt like a mom tips, and all those little nuggets from today, with those things in mind, and I have to say there were lots of pieces of wisdom about gut health today, lots of pieces about healing, lots of gut healing wisdom pieces that were imparted today. Let's land this 24-hour fermented yogurt plane with my yogurt recipe collection, because it's time for you to go forth and for you to remember that even though your doctor is most likely not recommending this fabulous gut healing tool, their heart is in the right place. They're learning about gut health and nutrition, just as we are. And maybe they just need a little education from you. And with this yogurt recipe collection in your hands, you can start to make changes to your life. Maybe you can even educate your doctor on the process as well. Give them a little bit of insight on what actual gut healing yogurt looks like. So how do you get your hands on it? How do you get your hands on my 24-hour fermented yogurt recipe collection? Well, I have to tell you, it's free and it's easy. So all you have to do is go to KarynHaley.com/yogurt. That's KarynHaley.com/yogurt. And you can get all of my gut healing recipes. So it's got recipes in the collection for dairy yogurt with a yogurt maker, dairy yogurt with an Instant Pot, non-dairy yogurt with a yogurt maker, and non-dairy yogurt with an Instant Pot. So it's got 4 different recipes. I have got you covered, my friend. Plus, the recipe booklet gives you brand recommendations for everything that you need, from the yogurt starter to the yogurt maker to what kind of milk to use. It's got all kinds of recommendations. And it even has a robust FAQ, a frequently asked questions section, with my most commonly asked yogurt making questions. So a quick side note that all of my yogurt recipes, they are compliant with the traditional gut healing diets. I just want to mention that. So whether you're on a diet like gluten-free or dairy-free or paleo or GAPS or SCD, and of course the gut healing diet that I work with most with my clients, the IBD transformation diet, is compliant with all of those. So rest assured that you are eating something that's not only the best thing for your digestive health, but you can stay on your gut healing diet while you're eating it. So don't forget to grab your free 24-hour fermented yogurt making recipe collection now. And let's just kickstart this yogurt bonanza for you. We're going to start at 1 spoonful at a time. Remember, mama, you've got to do this. You even know how to do it like a mom. We went over all of it, and I am here to cheer you on every step of the way. Remember to get that recipe collection. It's KarynHaley.com/yogurt. yogurt, KarynHaley.com/yogurt. Message me on socials if you have any questions at all. I am at IBD Health Coach, both on Facebook as well as Instagram. Any questions that you have at all, I want you to definitely reach out, get in touch, and I will absolutely get back to you. Until we chat again, I'm wishing you much gut health, much happiness always. Chat soon.